This afternoon is Lower Brule Zeke Prado. Zeke, we're hitting the off-season part of the training schedule, and I know a lot of people are starting to think about football. You in particular, the All Nations Conference is coming this year, and that's got to be exciting for a lot of schools. Can you tell me a little bit about All Nations, who's in it, and what's going on?
Yeah, so All Nations Conference is built of 12 teams, and we're going to break them up into two different conferences and 6 teams in each conference, set up like an East and West.
Okay.
And so on the East side, you'll have TUFF, Flandreau, Coal Creek, Lower Brule, Marty, and St. Francis.
Okay.
And then on the West side, two new teams we have there is going to be Ulrichs,
Okay.
and Takini. So they're going to start new programs. We have Red Cloud, Little Wound, Cheyenne Eagle Butte, and Crazy Horse.
Right.
Yeah. And so and that makes up the West. And so we'll play a round robin. The same week of LNI for volleyball and cross country, we'll add LNI football.
Oh, right on.
We'll play 6 games in Rapid City, but we haven't finalized where the field is at, where that's going to happen. And then we have a postseason, so we're going to seed 1 through 4. We'll get the bye, 5 through 12. We'll play the first round.
Dude, I'm already fired up to see some of those matchups when you're talking about Lower Brule and Crow Creek being on the same side of that. Flandreau Indian coming aboard, and boy, out west, Red Cloud, Little One got to be looking pretty tough out there. And can you tell people a little bit more about All Nations, this football conference? Because there's been some work done to actually make this happen and allow for this change. Can you talk about it and actually how it stacks up with the South Dakota High School Activities Association?
Yes. Well, I guess initially why we started the All Nations was because we were looking at trying to build participation in our travel schools, and we're down. We're playing schools like Chamberlain and Potter County, Bonhomme, where we're showing up with 12 players, 15 players, and on the other side, they have 45 players and 50 players.
Sure.
And so, for us, we're like, how do we continue to build, football? Because football at the beginning of the year, it's one of the first sports to compete and kind of set the tone for the school year. And so we thought we need to find a way to build participation and maybe spark some more interest within our student athletes here at the travel schools. And we thought, hey, well, let's start the conversation about creating an all nations conference,
right,
and having a certain criteria to get in. Now, right off the bat, there were a lot of schools that were just like not interested.
Yeah.
And there were schools that were, and just by being excited about it, we think it added another 5, maybe 10 players to each team. And that's huge.
I wanted to ask you because I think some detractors to this All Nations, All Native Football Conference, are thinking, wow, you're taking these kids out of real football and going to something else. But I mean, I wanted to ask you because I can't think of a better example of how would it feel to go to work every day and get your butt kicked every day. Like some of these schools, when I see like St. Francis have to go play Chamberlain or Vermilion, and the goal is to make it to halftime without getting 50. And there are kids like Nash Huntmaker from Chamberlain, 320 pounds, probably going to the NFL someday, playing against St. Francis kids. I mean, I hope it builds excitement because there are some really good Native American football players out there.
Yeah, Rich, I look at it like this. I'm a former college coach. I've been a coach in California where we went to a state championship. We played for CIF championship. So I've been there, and those games are fun to play and compete. Right, we're competing. I'm not saying win them all, but competing. When I'm losing, 242 to 16 to my last 4 opponents of the year.
Yeah.
How do we coach that up? How do we have fun with it? How do I continue to have my players come to practice? Looking at the last 4 games of the year, Bonhomme, Potter County, Hill City, and we're not able to compete because one, depth. The other thing we compete, is some schools do co-op.
Right.
And so we're competing with numbers, and it's tough.
Coach, I wanted to ask you in specifics because I was watching some film today of you guys, Lower Brule last year, and you guys were playing Bond Home, who ended up being the 9AA football champion.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what it's like for your kids to, I mean, what's it like coming out of a contest like that or even going into a contest? Because it can't be fun to look forward to getting beaten like that.
Yeah. I want to compete at the highest level. As a coach, I want to compete. Um, and if it really came down to it, I want to play the best of the best.
Sure.
Right? So we did. We played the best of the best. My thought is, well, how am I going to game plan playing best of the best, when I'm down in numbers and down in skill level?
All right.
Okay? And, philosophy had to change. We had to think about how am I going to keep my players safe as opposed to how am I going to put up, 50 points to beat this team. Because we're that was my thought going into it. It just changed, because you look at the beginning of the year, we're putting up 56 points on schools, and then we go to Bond Home and we can't even get a first down. So, there's the thought process in that is like totally different in philosophy and thought as we're playing a team that's peaking at a high level like Bond Home and state champs.
Can you tell me about the, where you're going to start with this thing? There's been a lot of, I think not everybody's aware of some of the challenges that go on Native American reservations. Like I've been following Ray Taken Alive a little bit, and he started some strength and conditioning, and man, had 6 kids show up the first day, which is great, But like, I think one thing that I'm hoping that All Nations Conference does is motivate kids to start getting in the gym because, I mean, I'm looking at those teams that you just threw out at me, and I'm like, that's going to be awesome. Those guys are going to be competing against level competition, kind of people they know. I mean, they're going to be battling from an East and a West with a championship. I think it's awesome, dude.
Right. And that's the idea, to spark the interest. That the student athletes know that, they're going to compete against the same level, same type of student athlete. They're going to compete in the postseason, which a lot of teams might see the postseason, might not, maybe a first round exit. But also being able to say, hey, we can go deep, second, third round into the playoffs, play for the championship.
Yeah.
An All Nations championship that is the best of the best right now at the travel schools. I think that is pretty exciting. Our kids are excited about it. Kids that haven't played in 2 years are back.
Oh,
and
awesome.
They've been lifting weights. They've come and said, Coach, I want to be a part of this. And that's what it's about. It's about creating a great football experience, for my student athletes.
I look around the landscape of South Dakota high school football, and I'm seeing some kids going to college this fall. Like from St. Francis, Jeffrey Curry III is going to Minnesota West. I think Mark Rogers from Todd County is going. Jesse Jensen and DJ Vitalis from Pine Ridge are going to Minnesota West and getting that exposure, to go play at the college level. One of my hopes, too, is certainly that, as you guys play playoffs and play at Lakota Nation in these big championship games, that, there are more coaches and college coaches taking a look at these kids and really evaluating, what they could potentially be in a year or two.
Right. Yeah. With the student athletes going that level to junior college, somebody has to start somewhere, and it's going to take a generation, a group of kids to say, hey, we can play college ball too.
Yeah.
Right. And, I do get college coaches calling me and saying, hey, what do you have, Coach? What's up with this All Nations? Do you have any players that we can take a look at?
Right.
I'm saying, absolutely. We got players. So, we're looking at putting together an All Nations team camp.
Okay.
So we're getting all of our guys at one central place just to develop as student athletes. And then, maybe find that one student athlete that wants to get to the next level or put himself out there in front of college coaches. At the end of the day, he has to love it.
Yeah.
He has to love football. It's a tough deal, and those student athletes that are going on, it's a full-time job, to get to the next level, and that's important. An important opportunity for them, but understand that again, it's a grind, and hopefully that with our All Nations Conference, we're starting to develop programs, not just, August shows up. And then we're playing football. And we're talking about the off-season lifting, off-season running, and building programs for our student athletes can feed them right into the next level, whether it's junior college or a 4-year.
Did you guys address? I mean, it seems like one of the issues every year is the that powwow season goes on until like right to Labor Day, and sometimes you guys are playing in week 0, like August 15th. So you have to start practice on August 5th, and I mean, you just can't do that in some of these smaller communities like that.
Right. Yeah, and that's a concern around the state, uh, even outside of the travel schools, that a lot of families have vacations set up late in August. They don't come back till after Labor Day, and so I know that we bumped everything up a week this year. Our season is 6 games.
Okay.
Our seventh game is the playoffs, and a large part of it is because we're starting later into September, first week, as opposed to week 0 and second week of August, third week of August. So that has also changed. So we're not playing the 8-game schedule. We're playing 6, with the 7th game being the first round of playoffs.
One of the things that I always think makes a strong conference is developing some of these traditional rivalries. And when you look across the landscape of high school football, Native Americans in South Dakota, St. Francis plays 11A. You guys are playing what, 9AA?
We play 9AA.
Right, and so
we're 9A, but play 9AA. Yeah.
Right, so is All Nations going to be 9-man football?
It's going to be all 9-man football. So that means Red Cloud, Little Wound, St. Francis, Flandreau all drop down to 9-man.
Right. But along with that, man, I love some of those traditional rivalries. Like, when's the last time Lower Brule and Crow Creek played in football? Like, that's going to be lit this year when when those teams meet. That's interesting.
Yeah, you're going to get Red Cloud and Little Wound playing. You're going to get Tio Spazina and Shine Eagle Butte.
Right.
You're going to get Flandreau Indian and St. Francis playing. You're going to get Oryx and I believe Marty and Takini and I think of I can't think of it off the top of my head here, but the rivalry is going to happen that week down in LNI in September. So
wow,
it'll be week 5 for us.
Wow, how are they going to do the 2 nights of L? Is it going to be 2 nights of LNI or 1 day of LNI football?
Well, that's what we're working on. So we're looking at because of the 3-hour window for a football game. That's kind of what we're judging here. So we're looking at doing 2 days and playing 3 games on a Friday, or 3 games on a Thursday, 3 games on a Friday.
Wow.
To play it. So we looked at a couple different things, a couple different fields, but we're right now still in the conversation. We actually have a phone conference call tomorrow at 1:00.
Boy, I really like the 9-man football from a participation perspective. I've seen teams like I've written for the Todd County paper, and I've seen St. Francis come out on the field with 11 guys, playing 11-man football, and they, I think if schools and kids do have that good summer and see that this is possible and how cool it is, I mean, I think you're going to get, as you've said, participation numbers coming through the roof.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking at, when I had a meeting about 2 weeks ago, we had 20 student athletes for our meeting. We had another 5 and 6 that weren't able to show up to the meeting. So we're feeling pretty good at that number. A large part of it is the large senior class and then a large middle school class that will be moving up as freshmen. So we're looking at 2025.
I wanted to ask you something, because one of the pictures you sent me this week was it seemed more like a youth league, and if I'm remembering correctly, you spent a lot of time taking your kids, the younger kids, to a Sioux Falls league or something in that vein. Tell me how that benefited your kids.
Yeah, so I think one of the key things is obviously is cultivating our youth programs. So every Sunday we had flag football, and it was open to all ages.
Okay.
So I had elementary kids, and I had middle school and high school kids all coming on Sunday afternoon for 2 hours, and we're going through kind of skills and drills.
Sure.
And then we're playing scrimmage. And then aside from that, what I've done is take middle school and 4th grade, 5th grade students down to Sioux Falls, and we played in some flag football 5-on-5 tournaments at the Stanford Fieldhouse.
Can I ask you, what was it like walking in there unprepared for, never seeing that type of competition? What was it like? And then ultimately, how did your kids kind of respond and improve to just more access to football like that?
I tell you what, the fourth graders, it took them about 2 games to like figure it out.
Right.
The speed, the tone of the game, how to run certain routes in a smaller field, catching the ball, making people miss. I mean, we went 0-3 with fourth graders, but that third game, I mean, we were right there. We lost by 7. And then I took the middle school kids. We lost the first game, and it took that game to figure it out, and they won 3 straight games.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So that's your middle school class. You've got a nice influx of talent coming up to Lower Brule here shortly.
Yeah, there's a good mix of younger middle school kids that will be moving up. And I told them, if they're going to work out all spring, all summer, they're going to get a shot to compete. I said, I've seen it before, being able to play a freshman, let's say a quarterback or a wide receiver. And so we got some guys competing at a high level. And like I said, if they're in the weight room, they're committing to it. So it's a pretty cool deal to have them want to get better every day.
Just one kind of final question here before I let you go. But, we think about kids and lifting and getting stronger and stuff. How much durability can a kid add in the next 6 months? I mean, we're just starting the off season right now. And if you're benching 105, you literally could be benching 185 in about 6 months from now if you put your work in,
Right. Yeah. A lot of our kids are about that. They're hitting that 95 to 125. A couple guys maybe, hitting over 150.
Sure.
They have to start somewhere. We create a baseline for them. I think for us, the training is a lot different than what it used to be. We're not looking for a guy to be putting up 300 pounds anymore.
Sure.
We're looking up for them to take as many reps as possible under that 105, and just rep it out. And what we do is we also work on a lot of the smaller muscles that help prevent injury.
Right.
Working to strengthen the quads and the hamstrings, making sure that our flexibility in our hips, are a lot better than they are now, because that's what is creating a lot of knee injuries. The flexibility of the hips. It's not so much the knees; it's the muscles around the knees.
Right.
So we're focusing on that with our student athletes, and a lot of them feel good. They feel great. Mason Andrew, he's a student that is committed to losing. He's already lost 50 pounds.
No way, really? Awesome.
Yeah. And so he's got a goal of another 20 pounds. We have some students that want to build some muscle. So we created some programs for them. I've been fortunate to have Carlos Castaneda, who's a certified strength and conditioning coach. Charlie LaRush played football at Dakota Wesleyan. Mike Barneau also played football at Dakota Wesleyan and also in Europe.
Wow.
Arthur Brown, who's just come back, played in Europe, played for Dakota Wesleyan. That have committed to, hey, let's get these student athletes better, because we understand, we've been through it.
Okay.
We've been through it, and so again, a handful of students have bought into it, and it's been awesome to get them in the weight room and just commit to just being an all-around student athlete.
Zeke, I'm going to let you go for today, but let's catch up sometime. Summertime. Let's keep in tabs on what's going on with you guys and some of the summer activities, and we'll hit you back in a few weeks, sir.
Okay. All right. So it's good talking to you, Rich.